Shiba Inu still hasn't died, and that might be the most underrated story in crypto right now. Everyone said the meme coin era was done. Institutions moved to Bitcoin ETFs, developers moved to Solana, and retail was supposed to move on. But SHIB is still here, still ranked 36 by market cap, still processing hundreds of thousands of transactions on Shibarium every single day. And almost nobody in the serious crypto conversation is talking about it. That gap between perception and reality, that's usually where money is made. As of today in August 2026, SHIB is trading at throw 4 to 5. It's down 0.6% in the last 24 hours and dropped 10.1% over the past week. I know that looks ugly, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you the pain isn't real. It is. But what I am going to tell you is that price action and fundamentals are telling two completely different stories right now. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly which one matters more for what comes next. Let's start with why SHIB is even in the conversation at all in 2026. Because if you only look at the price, it's easy to dismiss this as a dead meme. But the asset underneath that price has changed dramatically. Shiba Inu is no longer just a token you buy because a dog is on it. There is now an entire ecosystem built on top of it. Shibarium, SHIB's own Layer 2 blockchain, has been processing real transactions, real DeFi activity, and real NFT volume. The cumulative transaction count on Shibarium has crossed into the hundreds of millions. That's not meme numbers. That's infrastructure numbers. Here's the analogy that actually clicks for me. Think about Ethereum in 2016. It had a passionate community, a working blockchain, and a token that most Wall Street types thought was a toy. The people who looked at the developer activity and the use cases instead of the price chart at that moment, they made life-changing returns. Now, I'm not saying SHIB is Ethereum. I'm saying the framework for evaluating an asset shouldn't start and end with its price chart and its mascot. The burn mechanism is the other piece most people gloss over. SHIB has a deflationary model. Tokens are permanently removed from circulation every time certain on-chain actions happen. The total supply has already been reduced by trillions of tokens since the mechanism launched. That matters more when the market turns bullish. When demand picks up and the supply side is structurally shrinking, the math starts to work in a way it never could for an inflationary asset. Right now, the burn rate is relatively slow compared to peak periods, but the infrastructure is in place and the community is still actively pushing volume through burn portals. That's a background mechanism that doesn't care whether the price is up or down this week. If this is helping you cut through the noise, subscribe to Crypto Sayans. We break down moves like this before they go mainstream. Now let's talk about the actual opportunity, because this is where I want to be precise instead of vague. SHIB at $0.045 has a market cap somewhere in the $2.6 to $2.7 billion range. For SHIB to hit 0.001, which is roughly 2.2x from here, the market cap would need to reach around $5.9 billion. That is not an insane number for a top 35 crypto asset in a bull market environment. We've seen that kind of move happen to Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and XRP multiple times in single quarters during strong cycles. The question is whether the macro environment and the catalyst lineup support that kind of move before the end of 2026 or going into 2027. What I'm watching on the institutional side is indirect but real. As Bitcoin continues to mature as a macro asset and ETF flows remain strong, that risk appetite tends to eventually cascade down the cap table. It happened in prior cycles. Bitcoin moves, Ethereum follows, then the large cap altcoins catch up. SHIB, sitting at rank 36 with an active ecosystem and a retail army that doesn't quit, is historically one of the assets that surges hard in that third wave. The timing on that wave, based on current cycle dynamics, points toward late 2026 into early 2027 as the window to watch. On-chain, wallet accumulation data shows that the addresses holding between 1 trillion and 10 trillion SHIB, what you'd call the mid-tier whale category, have been quietly growing in count over the past several weeks. These aren't panic buyers. These are people who've done their math and are positioning before a potential move. But here is the honest bear case, because you deserve it. SHIB has done this before. It's looked like it was forming a base, and then the broader market rolled over and took it down another 40 or 50%. The risk here is real. If Bitcoin stalls, if macro conditions tighten, if a new meme coin cycle pulls community attention away from SHIB and towards something fresher, SHIB could absolutely sit at these levels or lower for months. The meme coin space is brutally competitive. SHIB doesn't have a moat the way Bitcoin or Ethereum does. It has community, and community sentiment can shift. That's the number one risk, and anyone who glosses over it is selling you something. There's also the supply reality. Even with burning, the circulating supply is still measured in hundreds of trillions of tokens. Getting to 1 full cent, $1 would require a market cap that doesn't make mathematical sense in any near-term scenario. I know that's not what some of you want to hear, but that's the honest number. The realistic targets for this cycle are in the 0.008 to 0.00015 range, and even the upper end of that would mean serious gains from where we sit today. So here's my take. SHIB is not a void, but it's also not a close your eyes and buy situation. If you have a position already, the data doesn't support panic selling at the current level. You're potentially selling into weakness right before a macro tailwind. If you're considering a new position, sizing matters more than timing here. A small, defined allocation that you can hold through further downside without losing sleep. That's the right framework. SHIB rewards patience. It has a history of doing nothing for months and then moving violently when conditions align. The setup forming right now has that same energy. Watch the 0.038 level on the downside. That's where I'd want to see support hold. And watch the $0.65 level on the upside. Breaking through that with volume would be the first real signal that something bigger is starting. Subscribe to Crypto Sayans. We break down the top coins every week, so you never miss a move. Hit the bell too, because the videos that matter most always seem to drop when people aren't expecting it.